6:35 a.m. Central Time here, and when I find out new information, I figure it's good to pass that on, especially since we have people in the path of the storm, and we're kind of in that dead zone where the news 12Z models are not in, and we're just kind of like waiting for it to come in. However, there are a few things that we can look at that will shed a little bit of light on what's going on. So let me switch over to the charts, and this is still the same chart I showed earlier. Showed Hurricane Irma, 185 miles an hour sustained, central pressure down to 914, so that's certainly getting into some serious Category 5 range there. Now, what I did is I brought up some high-resolution satellite, and let me get that all set up there. And you can see Puerto Rico off here to the left. And these two aliens here, this is St. Martin on the bottom, and the top one, my geography is a little bit, Anguilla up at the top. And further back, we had the island of Barbuda, and that's where the storm originally was earlier this evening. And there had been kind of a consensus that the storm would be taking a track a little bit further north, and what I'm seeing here is a little bit more of a southward progression. So let me run the loop here, and we can take a quick look at the eye. You can see a well-developed annular eye here. We'll run the satellite loop from 10 to 11:15 UTC, which is going to be Central Time 5 to 6:15. Now, there is going to be a little bit of wobbling of the eye, so we can't get an exact fix, but we can see that the bulk of the eye is passing over the north part of St. Martin, and not quite up to the northern island there. Diameter here probably about 20 to 30 miles. And let me get you a fix on that. In fact, let me back that up and make sure I can get that accurate. And I'm going to go with 18.2 and minus 63.3 for a position at 6:15 p.m. Central, 7:15 p.m. Eastern. Now that is kind of significant because that places it south of the dynamic tracks. And let me switch over to that. We've got the eye passing through this region right here. And what I did is I took away some of the dynamic models and the ensembles that were going with the more northerly track. For example, the GFS. Look how far north it went there. Let me get a measurement on that. So we're seeing an error from the 0Z run there of about 15 miles already. Looking for the high-resolution European model. Yeah, that's already on there. That's left on there because it seemed to have nailed that pretty well. But the HWRF, that was also well to the north. And the NavGem up to the north. UK model pretty far south there. And then the official NHC forecast pretty much right on the mark there. Okay, so I've got the models grouped here. These are the ones that appear to be kind of on the ballpark, passing over St. Martin. And in fact, I'm probably, let me get that location again real quick. 18.2, 63.3. Is that right? 18... Yeah, looks like it's 18.2. Okay, so yeah, let me bring that back. That's too far north. So what I'm trying to get is kind of a spread of ensemble members at the lower resolutions that appear to be kind of in the ballpark. That would be a good one right there. That's the European 43, the 43rd ensemble. That one may be okay there. And let me hit some of the others here real quick. And we're going to see a little bit different picture once we shift up towards Florida. This may help us. So you can see all these are too far north. That one might be in the ballpark. So yeah, let's see what that gives us. Okay, first thing off, we're passing north of Puerto Rico here. Now this center of the circulation is going to be up to the north. The southern eye wall, we'll be passing the island. The heavier storm surge and heavier winds, those are always on the left side of the storm here, so a little bit of a reprieve there for San Juan. However, the large diameter of the eye wall, let me see if I can measure that real quick. Yeah, let's see here. Set that on the eye. So we're looking at roughly on that eye wall about 32 miles for a radius on that eye wall. So pretty much all the intense winds are going to be roughly within about 15 to 30 mile radius of the eye there. And outside of about 40-50 miles, things should be a little bit better there. So what does that mean for Puerto Rico? It really depends just how close it comes to the island, but the southernmost of these tracks comes within 20 miles of San Juan. So that would certainly be enough to be affected by the eye wall. The other tracks grouped up here, these are going to be in the vicinity of about 44 miles, so that's going to be on the outside of the eye wall there. Certainly some very strong winds, and flooding would be a serious problem there, but the outcome would not be as dire there for Puerto Rico. And of course, if it takes these northerly tracks, Puerto Rico will be in even better shape there. But due to the rugged terrain there, a lot of localized flooding will be a problem. Looks like it dodges Dominica there, but let's take a look at these tracks and see what we've got. I've pulled out these tracks selectively based on the conformance to the 11Z position of the storm, and I'm seeing a few tracks off the east coast, but most of these are coming right into Florida. So I can definitely see that Florida is under the gun here still at this point. And that's kind of in line with the NHC forecast. If I can find it, yeah, there it is. And you can see that that's bringing that right up into the Everglades, crossing the Florida Keys there, and right up in that region right there around Lake Okeechobee. Now that kind of landfall, I'm not too sure what the storm surge would be like in the Miami area. Homestead would be subject, of course, to the eye wall if it took that track. But as I said on the last program, and to repeat that again, we are splitting hairs. We're likely going to see some variation in exactly where it makes landfall. So a lot of spread, but we know that the mean is lying somewhere in this region. So we're talking about, let me see here. Yep, pretty much Homestead, Kendall. But that is just a mathematical likelihood that it would fall there, slightly elevated there, and still the potential to go either way on either side. Could still see it go out into the Straits east of Miami, or further out to the west over Key West and up to the Cape Coral area. So kind of what I'm showing you here. Let me put all the models on here. Let's do that. These are all the late cycle models. And we can compare this with the current position of the storm, which is located about right there. Looks like it's centered about in the center of a lot of these random lines here. But just taking all those late cycle model effects into account, lots of them, bringing it up across the Bahamas. But like I said, if we filter it out down to the dynamic models that have the best history with track and that are closest to the satellite fix, that we see here, then we end up with more of a path up into the Florida area. So that's kind of what I'm seeing at this point, but we're just going to have to wait on more data and more drop zones, and it's probably going to be about 2 more days before we have got this nailed down. The key tracks, however, and I can go with you, go briefly with this. The GFS, which is run by the National Centers for Environmental Prediction. This is the high-resolution GFS, bringing it just offshore. However, the ensemble mean, well, taking a similar path, but we saw a lot of these other ensembles. Actually, let me bring up the control run. Yeah, that's the control run right there. So a lot of them gravitating towards the east. But a lot of the actual ensemble members, if I bring those out and plot those, okay, there we go. Pretty good spread, so lots of uncertainty in the GFS. We've got a few ocean-going members here, and the rest of them kind of spreading right through this area. So that's kind of the scenario there with the GFS. It has gone pretty far east with Irma here. Okay, we'll get rid of those. The official high-resolution European model, bringing it very close to Miami. The effects there would be certainly pretty severe. At this time, the track 17 miles offshore. The ensemble control member. In fact, let me check my notes and make sure I've got this. Let me make sure I'm not confusing this with the control run versus the ensemble mean. I think ECME, I think that is the control run. So let me check that out and just be sure so I'm not giving you bad data. It seems like every year they're coming out with more and more of these. Yeah, that's going to be the control member. So quite a bit of difference there. And what that's telling us is that for some reason, the increased resolution that we have with the high-resolution 1574 wave truncated run, which is the best that there is, for some reason that higher resolution, and not really the initial state, is what's causing this eastward jog. And we've seen the GFS doing that also. So I'm not sure what it is in the higher resolution data that would bring these further to the east. It's very puzzling there. The HMON, the GFDL replacement right there, going straight up into the Florida Everglades. HWRF, pretty fast recurvature, keeping that over the Bahamas. There's the Navy model, keeping that offshore too. And then the official, well, let me hit that British forecast. Also going up through the Straits, and then the official NHC forecast. Over the Florida Keys, but they've adjusted that at 5 p.m. or 5 a.m. Eastern, straight up into the Everglades. So that's kind of the summary there. It's the best I have so far. Let me take a look at the chat here and see what else is going on. Got Ryan there up and working. And Thomas Copeland. Ryan says EOC meeting last night, just done short of midnight. Michelle Dominguez in Puerto Rico, you'll probably be okay. Again, this is not a direct hit on Puerto Rico, and there's pretty much a less than 1% chance the storm would recurve and head towards Puerto Rico, so you should be in good shape. And just to bring that back, and I'll just put all the models on there. These are all the late cycle models, and only a few of them heading for Puerto Rico. And let me see. Yeah, these are all the Canadian models, I think. Canadian ensembles. But the bulk of the tracks are well to the north, and I think you'll be in pretty good shape there. Just take your usual precautions and fill your bathtub so you have a way to flush the toilet or have some water to boil. The usual precautions. Ryan mentioning the local law enforcement, first responders meeting, shelter information, hospital admin, all that stuff going on there in Florida. All of Ryan's buses heading over to Broward County. EOC main facility starting today for staging with other companies. So they are getting things in gear here for the approach of Irma. Thomas Copeland asks if any other states have declared a state of emergency other than Florida. Ryan says evacuation of patients, elderly, and disabled will commence Thursday and Friday locally. And Ryan says only Puerto Rico and Florida have taken action so far. But by Friday night, everything will be locked down once the hurricanes are posted for their coastal and inland regions. Sue M says, you didn't get notice. Yeah, it was kind of a last-minute thing. I posted the webcast about 3 minutes before I went on. I'm kind of bouncing back and forth between programming and checking on the weather. Ryan expecting all operations suspended late Friday at airports. Mike R. says it's interesting where the storm surge would be, given the eye comes ashore on the south tip of Florida. Will it stay Cat 5 U.S. landfall? There is that possibility due to the high ocean heat content in this region right here. In fact, we can take a look at... let me bring up the European models and I'll get you the intensities. And we'll do the control run and a bunch of these other European model runs. So the main high-resolution European model passing Florida at 9:23, which is marginal Cat 4, Cat 5, 9:25 on the approach there. The others that make landfall, these are the ensemble members. European bringing in 9:52, 9:50, 9:49, some 9:25s. So really it depends on which model you pick here. However, it may be better to go into some of the storm intensity models to really get that data. The problem is there's a lot of land masses in between, and those are definitely going to have an effect on the central pressure. So we're pretty much waiting to see where the final track is, but there is plenty of energy available in the ocean between the Bahamas, Cuba, and Florida there. European model, most accurate? I don't know. It seems like the European model has been more consistent. GFS has done a better job of the last system, but it has been wavering a lot more, and there's more of a spread between the ensemble members and the GFS there. So I would probably put some stock there in the European model, and I think the NHC forecast has kind of fallen in line with some of those solutions there. A little discussion there about Katia and best time to travel after midnight. Definitely agree. Best time to get gas after midnight, and yeah, some of the stations, they do tend to restock at night. Broward County EOC officials and Port Authority officials rolling out gas tankers 24 and 7. Let's take a look at that storm. Hang on a second. Let me drop out some of these overlays, and I'll get you an updated frame here. Reloading the latest satellite data. I don't know if we have an 11:30 frame, but I guess we'll find out here shortly. In fact, yeah, we got 11:45 there, so this is definitely the latest. And you can see the well-developed eye wall there. In fact, looks like a little bit of a spiral band right in here. And the rest of it showing as a annular eye wall there. It's right just now starting to depart the Netherlands Antilles, heading out back into the open ocean, and next stop is going to be these other islands just to the east of Puerto Rico. So that's going to be the British Virgin Islands. And it's going to reach out there sometime around midday today. So arrival times on those, 18Z. So yeah, we're talking about 12 to 2 p.m. local as it reaches that area. The eye wall arriving a few hours before that there. And let me see if I can get one last fix on this storm. 18.3, 63.3. Yeah, so we're looking in kind of in this area right here. So in any case, the summary of that is looks like Florida is still under the gun, and when I try to correct the various ensemble members based on the current position. It seems like it eliminates some of the models that go for early recurvature here, so more of a path towards Florida. But there's just no way to make landfall at this point. We thought we knew a couple days ago. We were talking about landfall on North Carolina, South Carolina, even the eastern Florida coast, and you can see where we're at now. So it's just going to be another couple days here. Sue M. tried to buy batteries for charity in Florida and sold out while ordering. Sounds like, are you up in Florida? Or, I'm sorry, you're in Indiana. Guess people stocking up there too. Ryan says Richard Branson of Virgin is staying on his island. The eye wall right on top of him now as we see it. And Suim will keep YouTube open. And we've got David Holcomb joining us. So that's about all I got for today. Just wanted to show you that little bit of information. And we'll be on a little bit later tonight. And let me get that outside camera working. You can see a little bit of the Texas sunrise here. Yeah, there we go. 66 degrees here, so we've cooled down quite a bit with that cold front pushing southward. Air does feel a lot drier, and yeah, it's pretty nice. Anyway, I'm going to finish up here and get some rest in. Probably what we'll do is we'll just do the usual webcast at the same time tomorrow, 8 o'clock. Unless we have some new information to look at that bears going over. Anyway, take care and have a good morning, and we'll see you a little bit later.